Introduction. Friends, if you're someone who enjoys thought-provoking sci-fi, emotionally rich storytelling, and powerful cinematic experiences, then you're absolutely going to love what we've got in store for you today. In this video, we're diving deep into the mysterious and mesmerizing world of Eden, 2024. A film that dares to ask difficult questions about survival, morality, and the fragile balance between nature and human ambition. So if you're visiting our channel for the very first time, take a moment to subscribe, because we regularly bring you fascinating content like this, full of film analysis, trivia, behind-the-scenes details, and everything you need to know before or after watching a movie. Now let's talk about Eden. What is this film all about? At first glance, it may appear to be a straightforward sci-fi survival story, but there's so much more beneath the surface. Set in a dystopian future, or perhaps an alternate timeline, Eden explores the lives of a group of individuals who find themselves isolated from the rest of the world. Trapped in a hostile environment where survival isn't just about food and shelter, but about confronting the most primal instincts of the human soul. We'll unpack how this film turns the concept of a remote paradise into something dark, layered, and intensely psychological. We'll also be telling you exactly where and how you can watch this film, whether it's available on an OTT platform like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, or HBO, or showing on a satellite channel or digital rental service. You'll have all the information at your fingertips by the end of this video. We'll guide you to the best possible way to experience Eden, whether it's through a high-definition home viewing or catching it on a big screen, if that's an option in your area. And let's not forget the technical artistry behind the film. We'll walk through the film's pre-production journey, how the idea for Eden was developed, what kind of world building went into the script, and how the filmmakers brought that vision to life. We'll explore how the locations were chosen, how the environment becomes a character in itself, and the challenges the crew faced during filming. We'll talk about the cinematography, the choice of color palette, lighting design, and the use of practical versus visual effects. Then we'll move into post-production, how the film was edited, what kind of visual grading was used to enhance its tone, and how the sound design complements its atmospheric tension. Music lovers, stay tuned as we also dig into the film's score. Who composed it, how it blends with the visuals, and what kind of emotional impact it creates during key scenes. The music in Eden doesn't just support the story. It amplifies it, giving voice to moments of silence, tension, and revelation. Whether it's orchestral, ambient, electronic, or experimental, we'll explore how the soundtrack helps define the emotional texture of the film. Of course, we can't forget the budget and box office. Was Eden made on a grand scale, or was it a modest indie production with big ideas? Did it manage to recover its budget at the box office? Was it a sleeper hit, or did it struggle to find its audience? We'll give you all the financial insights, the release strategy, and how the film has been received by viewers and critics alike. Then comes the heart of the matter, the story. I'll be giving you a detailed breakdown of the plot, without spoiling any major twists. What's the core conflict? What themes does the movie explore? How does it keep the audience hooked? We'll talk about how the narrative is structured, whether it's linear or fragmented, slow-burning or fast-paced, and what kind of emotions it stirs up. Whether it's fear, awe, isolation, or hope, Eden taps into something very human, and I'll help you navigate that experience. We'll also talk about the film's cast, who's starring in it, what kind of performances they deliver, and which characters they portray. Are the actors known faces or fresh talent? How do they interact on screen? Do they carry the emotional weight of the film effectively? I'll break down how each character contributes to the unfolding drama, and how their individual arcs elevate the film's tension and emotional payoff. And if you love trivia and behind-the-scenes facts, we've got that too. We'll uncover interesting details about how the film was made, what inspired certain scenes, and if there are any symbolic motifs, hidden metaphors, or recurring visual cues you might have missed on your first watch. These little details often carry deeper meaning and enhance the viewing experience for fans who love analyzing every frame. So friends, don't go anywhere. Stick with me till the end, because Eden is the kind of film that rewards close attention. Whether you're here to decide if it's worth watching or you've already seen it and want to dive deeper, this video is going to give you the full experience, from surface-level info to in-depth exploration. Let's begin our journey into Eden and uncover what lies beneath the surface. The story of Eden, 2024, unfolds with a deceptive calm that gradually gives way to escalating tension and psychological disintegration. It begins with a group of U.S. military deserters, each broken in their own way, arriving on an uncharted Pacific island during a war. They believe they've escaped the violence and cruelty of the outside world, seeking to build a new life in isolation. From the first frame, the island appears tranquil but vaguely unsettling, like something sacred that's been disturbed. There's a quiet unease to everything. The silence of the jungle, the stillness of the sea, the way the sky seems to press down just a little too hard. And right from the start, the film makes it clear: this isn't a place of redemption, but reckoning. The plot follows a linear trajectory at first, focused on the survival efforts of the group. They set up camp, ration supplies, and try to organize themselves with the remnants of their military hierarchy. There's a clear power dynamic, with a commanding officer attempting to maintain order, a medic trying to hold on to his humanity, a few hardened soldiers with personal agendas, and one or two who are simply trying to disappear. But the island resists their control. Strange sounds echo through the trees at night. Hunting parties go missing. Tools disappear. People begin to argue over what's real and what isn't. The story quickly introduces a psychological layer. Flashbacks begin to emerge, not neatly, not cleanly, but as visual and emotional bleed-throughs. These are not exposition-heavy flashbacks meant to explain backstory. Instead, they're fragmented memories, creeping into the present like smoke. One character is seen staring at a fire, and without any warning, he's transported back to a battlefield in the middle of a massacre. Another relives a court-martial that ended in disgrace. The film uses these moments to destabilize the viewer. Time is no longer a solid foundation. The characters are not just being haunted by their pasts, they're reliving them in real time. And then comes the first major rupture in the group. The chain of command fractures. Someone breaks into the weapons stash. Paranoia blooms. The leader's authority is challenged in a brutal altercation that leaves him wounded, physically and psychologically. This scene marks a shift in the story's tone. What began as a slow-burn survival tale turns into a tense psychological pressure cooker. The jungle becomes a symbol of their unraveling sanity. The environment starts reflecting their internal chaos. The characters begin hearing whispers, catching glimpses of shadows between the trees, and even doubting each other's existence. One begins to question whether the others are even real, or figments of a fevered mind. The film makes bold narrative choices as it nears the midpoint. Perspective becomes unreliable. The audience is no longer sure which character's point of view they're seeing events through. Scenes loop back on themselves. A conversation that seemed to happen in the morning is now repeated at night with different dialogue. The boundaries between memory, dream, and present experience begin to blur. The film doesn't stop to explain. It expects you to get lost, just like the characters. This narrative disorientation is one of the most engaging and unnerving aspects of the story. A key turning point arrives when one of the deserters discovers a decayed, overgrown structure deep in the jungle. An old chapel or outpost, filled with primitive religious symbols and remnants of earlier inhabitants. Inside are carvings, some written in English, others in unknown dialects, chronicling what appears to be the descent of a previous group into madness. This moment reframes everything. The island may not just be indifferent to their presence. It may have a history of breaking those who seek shelter within it. The discovery sends the group into further disarray. Some interpret it as a warning. Others become obsessed with the idea that the island has a purpose for them. One begins preaching that they've been chosen, that this is a new Eden and only the faithful will survive. Religious mania grips some, while others embrace violence and abandon all moral codes. What follows is a descent into full collapse. Murder, betrayal, hallucination, and desperation twist every interaction. The jungle itself seems to close in. Characters are picked off one by one, some by their fellow deserters, others by natural forces, and a few possibly by something unseen. The film never confirms if there's a supernatural element or if the group's collective madness is simply spinning out of control. And that ambiguity makes everything more disturbing. By the time the final act begins, only a few remain. One soldier, the most introspective of the group, begins wandering the jungle alone. He finds traces of the others, their final moments etched into the land. A blood-stained uniform, a shattered compass, a line of text scratched into a tree trunk. He begins to speak aloud, not to himself, but to the island. Whether he's praying, bargaining, or completely unhinged isn't clear. This is where the story becomes almost mythical. He sees visions of his childhood, of home, of the war, of the men who have died. The narrative here is dreamlike and cyclical. Time loops. Days seem to repeat. He buries a comrade only to find the grave empty the next morning. The past refuses to stay buried, literally and emotionally. The climax is not a grand, explosive event, but a quietly devastating confrontation. The last two survivors meet under the canopy, eyes hollow, words few. Their final exchange isn't about revenge or strategy. It's about who they were before all this, and whether any part of that remains. Their fight is brutal, unchoreographed, and intimate. There's no music, no dramatic framing, just two broken men in the mud, trying to destroy what the other represents. And in the end, there's only one left. But it's not a victory. It's a hollow, soul-shattering survival. The final moments of Eden abandon traditional narrative completely. The screen fills with fragments, echoes of earlier scenes, flickers of the island's natural beauty, distant voices from the past. The last man wanders out to the edge of a cliff, stares into the endless ocean, and we're left with a lingering question. Was any of it real, or has he been in his own purgatory all along? The narrative of Eden is a masterclass in fragmentation. It doesn't play with time and memory just for stylistic flair. It weaponizes them to pull the audience into a psychological maelstrom. It turns structure into a tool of emotional storytelling, peeling away layers of plot to reveal something more primal. Every turning point, every shift in perspective is designed to unsettle, to make the viewer experience disorientation, grief, and the collapse of reason. Eden doesn't just tell a story, it forces you to live through its unraveling. In Eden 2024, character development is not just a narrative feature. It's the film's engine, its soul, and its method of storytelling. You don't watch these characters grow so much as you watch them shed. Layers of identity, belief, duty, and sanity peel away slowly, one scene at a time, until what's left is either something reborn or something ruined. The movie doesn't tell you who these people are through exposition. It lets you live with them, watching, listening, reading between the lines of every glance, every lie, every silence. The island doesn't just trap them physically. It traps them emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And that's where the real transformation takes place. Each deserter begins the film as someone defined by the outside world, by uniforms, ranks, reputations, and regrets. The commanding officer is the clearest example. He arrives treating the island like a deployment zone. He issues orders, maps their perimeter, divides rations, and tries to impose a sense of structure. as if discipline alone will protect them. But as days pass and the jungle pushes back, his military logic starts to crack. The others stop listening. They begin to question whether leadership means anything without a chain of command to enforce it. What's brilliant is how his fall is gradual. It doesn't happen with a single failure. It happens with small losses, arguments he doesn't win, stares he can't meet, orders ignored. Eventually, he begins talking to himself, rereading old orders from his past life, trying to remember a time when his voice carried weight. By the end, he isn't just a man without command. He's a man without identity. A figure once carved in steel, now eroded into dust. The medic, on the other hand, seems like the emotional heartbeat of the group. At first, he patches wounds with care, listens when others vent, and speaks of forgiveness and healing. You expect him to be the moral anchor. But he doesn't stay there. His compassion, rooted in guilt, slowly mutates into something desperate. He begins performing rituals with herbs and symbols, believing the island requires penance. At one point, he digs a grave for someone who isn't dead yet, saying the earth demanded it. His arc is a chilling one. Not because he turns evil, but because he's consumed by the belief that only through sacrifice can they be saved. It's a psychological collapse disguised as spiritual awakening, and it makes his eventual actions both tragic and terrifying. His relationship with the others becomes strained. Those who once turned to him for comfort now look at him with fear. Even in scenes where he says nothing, his silence is heavy. It's the silence of a man who's stopped speaking to the living. The youngest soldier in the group, often referred to simply as the kid, has perhaps the most visibly dramatic transformation. He begins wide-eyed, naive, and eager to prove himself. He looks up to the older men, especially the sharpshooter. Quiet, deadly, stoic. The kid mimics him, trying to appear emotionless, trying to wear his calm like armor. But it doesn't fit. He fumbles. He panics during their first animal hunt. He cries when they bury the first body. And yet, something in him shifts when he realizes no one is going to protect him. Not from the jungle, not from the group, and not from himself. After he goes missing and returns days later, covered in mud and leaves, speaking in a strange monotone, it's as if something inside him has broken or changed shape. He walks differently. He eats differently. He stares at the others as if they're already dead. His arc is a coming-of-age story told in reverse. He doesn't grow up. He disappears into something feral. He loses his youth not to experience, but to trauma. And by the final scenes, he's become a symbol of what the island does to the unformed soul. Then there's the sharpshooter, the most enigmatic of the bunch. He's quiet, never speaks unless necessary, and always seems to be watching. He's the kind of character who feels dangerous not because he's loud or angry, but because you know he's calculating every move, every risk, every motive. Early on, he appears cold, disconnected, perhaps even unfeeling. But as the film peels back its layers, we start to see cracks in his silence. A photo of a child hidden in his pack. A moment of hesitation when ordered to take a shot. A rare scene where he and the medic share a cigarette, and he confesses, almost offhandedly, that he doesn't dream anymore. What's fascinating is that as the others lose control, spiraling into madness, delusion, and violence, he becomes more grounded. His arc is a reversal. Instead of breaking, he awakens. He begins to question his role not just in the group, but in the war that sent them here. In the final act, he makes a decision that isn't strategic or safe. It's emotional, and for someone who seemed like a machine for most of the film, that one human gesture hits with incredible force. The relationships between these characters constantly evolve. Friendships fracture. Rivals form brief alliances. Trust is a shifting, slippery thing. Two men who nearly kill each other in one scene are later seen sharing food silently. both too exhausted to hate. There's a long, wordless sequence where the commanding officer and the sharpshooter must carry a wounded comrade across terrain. They don't speak, don't argue, but every step is heavy with shared resentment and buried respect. These are the relationships that define Eden. Not romantic, not scripted, but raw and reactive. They form and collapse like waves, some never fully ending, just sinking under the surface. Motivations shift as well. What begins as a mission of survival becomes a test of belief, then a power struggle, then an internal war. Some want to escape, others want to conquer the island. A few come to believe they must die here to be cleansed. The island reshapes their goals, their fears, and even their language. There's a moment where 3 of the survivors begin referring to themselves not by name, but by role. The witness, the hunter, the voice. It sounds poetic at first, until you realize they've stopped seeing themselves as people. They've become archetypes, characters in a myth of their own making. What makes the character development in Eden so rich is that no one comes out of it intact. No one remains as they were. Some are hollowed out, some filled with madness, and a few reach a kind of grim peace. The film doesn't romanticize their pain, but it doesn't flinch from it either. Every decision carries weight, every betrayal has roots, and every transformation feels like the logical result of prolonged exposure to fear, isolation, guilt, and the deep, primal instincts that start to emerge when all civilization falls away. This is a film where character development isn't about learning lessons or becoming better people. It's about endurance. It's about finding out what remains when everything else is stripped away. For some, it's mercy. For others, it's violence. For most, it's something unnamed, something neither heroic nor villainous, but deeply human. In Eden, the island doesn't create monsters. It reveals them. And sometimes, in the most unexpected characters, it reveals something even more haunting. Humanity in its rawest, most untamed form. The performances in Eden, 2024, are the heartbeat of the film. The pulse that never stops thumping, even when the story turns cold, quiet, or unspeakably bleak. This isn't a film that survives on plot twists or visual effects alone. What keeps the tension razor-sharp and the atmosphere suffocating is the cast's unflinching commitment to becoming their characters fully and unapologetically. Every member of the ensemble feels as if they were plucked from the real world and dropped into the jungle, with nothing but their memories and trauma to carry. There's no Hollywood gloss here, just pure, often terrifying, emotional honesty. It's a film powered by performances that aren't afraid to get ugly, to be still, to fall apart slowly, and sometimes to explode without warning. Let's start with the actor playing the commanding officer. What he delivers isn't a loud, shouty display of dominance or a stereotypical man-in-charge routine. Instead, he gives us a performance rooted in denial and desperation. From the very beginning, he clings to military structure not because he's strong, but because he's terrified. You can see it in the way he gives orders with too much force, overcompensating for how shaky he's starting to feel inside. There's this particularly haunting early scene where he's drawing maps in the dirt, giving the illusion of planning, while his hands subtly tremble. He's a man using structure as a life preserver in a sea of madness. But when that structure begins to fail him, when no one listens, when the rules no longer apply, when his orders get people killed, he begins to physically change. His posture wilts. His eyes go glassy. By the time we hit the second act, he looks like someone who hasn't slept in days, even though we've never seen him close his eyes. His unraveling is like a slow hemorrhage, and it's deeply compelling to watch because it never feels performative. It feels internal, aching, real. Then we have the medic, a role that could have easily drifted into melodrama in lesser hands. But here, the actor brings a sense of wounded grace to the character. Kindness that feels weathered, not saintly. He doesn't play him as a noble hero, but as a man walking a psychological tightrope. There's an early scene where he's treating a wounded soldier, speaking gently, hands steady. But the moment he's alone, his breathing spikes, and he doubles over in panic. It's just a few seconds, but it tells you everything. His stability is a mask he wears for the sake of others, and that mask begins to slip slowly, then catastrophically. The actor doesn't go big when the breakdown comes. He gets quieter. He starts speaking to unseen forces. He speaks in riddles, then prayer, then gibberish. And what makes it all the more haunting is that there's still a light in his eyes, even as he descends into madness. He believes what he's doing matters. His performance is like a slow spiritual possession, and it's utterly transfixing. The young recruit, played by a relative newcomer, delivers what might be the film's most emotionally devastating turn. He's the wide-eyed kid at the start, all nervous smiles and stiff salutes, looking to the older men for approval, desperate to prove he belongs. The actor plays him with twitchy energy, always a step behind, always watching. But he also plays the cracks. The moments when fear creeps in, when you see him flinch from shadows, hesitate to pull a trigger, stay up at night muttering to himself. His transformation isn't gradual. It's a collapse, a free fall. And it's horrifying because it feels so plausible. One key moment is when he's found after being lost in the jungle, and he doesn't speak a word. His face is blank. His body moves like it's been disconnected from his mind. He begins doing strange things, arranging stones in circles, mimicking the movements of animals, staring into the sun. The performance becomes almost physical theater at that point. It's raw, instinctive, unpredictable. And as the film nears its final act, his presence becomes downright spectral. He doesn't feel like the same person, and that's entirely by design. The performance sells the idea that this island has swallowed his mind whole, and he's been reborn into something unrecognizable. The sharpshooter, portrayed by a veteran actor with a long list of acclaimed credits, is a masterclass in economy. He says little, moves minimally, but commands attention in every single scene. His performance is built on tension. Tension in his jawline, in his gaze, in the way he disassembles his weapon like he's soothing himself. This is a character who doesn't need to raise his voice to dominate a scene. His silence is his weapon. But what elevates this performance is the emotional depth hiding beneath the surface. There's a scene, just a quiet, slow conversation, where he talks about his last mission. His voice barely lifts above a whisper, and yet every word lands like a gut punch. He's not emoting, he's revealing. And when he finally breaks, just for a moment, it feels monumental. One tear, one falter in breath. That's all it takes. He doesn't need a monologue to explain his pain. You feel it in your bones. And then there's the supporting cast, each of them playing characters who might not have the most screen time, but who bring richness and texture to every corner of the story. One soldier begins to deteriorate early, talking to trees and carving symbols into his skin. Another spends his time laughing uncontrollably, even when something horrific happens, like his mind is short-circuiting under stress. These actors aren't just adding background noise. They're building a tapestry of madness. Even the extras have distinct presences, like they're part of the ecosystem. You remember their faces. You feel their descent. Their interactions with the leads are never wasted. Every glance, every shove, every whispered warning carries weight. The group dynamic is electrifying because you believe they've known each other for years. You believe the betrayals hurt. You believe the bonds matter. There are no stars here in the traditional sense. No one is trying to outshine anyone else. The power of Eden's performances lies in the cohesion, in the way every character feeds off the energy of the others. It's not just chemistry, it's combustion. The actors take the story's themes of fear, isolation, guilt, and existential dread, and they channel them through deeply embodied work. There's sweat, there's mud, there's blood, and there's barely a moment where you're reminded you're watching a performance at all. The illusion is total. These are actors working without vanity. No glamour, no filters, just faces cracked with sunburn, eyes heavy with insomnia, and voices hoarse from screaming into a wilderness that never answers. What they achieve isn't spectacle. It's sincerity. Their work makes you forget the camera exists. It pulls you into the jungle, traps you there, and forces you to witness the slow, agonizing unmaking of men. And by the time it's over, you carry their madness with you. Not because they told you to, but because they made you feel it. That's what the performances in Eden do. They don't entertain. They consume. The Direction of Eden, 2024, is an intricate dance between control and chaos, where every visual and auditory element is meticulously crafted to pull the viewer deeper into an unsettling world that feels both real and surreal at the same time. The director approaches the film not just as a story to be told, but as an experience to be lived, an emotional and psychological journey that challenges the audience's sense of reality and forces them to confront the thin line between sanity and madness. It's a bold, fearless vision that refuses to settle for conventional storytelling and instead invites viewers to lose themselves in a labyrinth of atmosphere, mood, and carefully engineered tension. From the very opening moments, the director sets a tone that is simultaneously quiet and ominous. There's no grand exposition, no flashy action sequence to hook you instantly. Instead, the camera lingers thoughtfully on small, seemingly insignificant details. Dew glistening on jungle leaves, the slow crawl of insects across the forest floor, a soldier's trembling hands gripping a rifle. This kind of direction demands patience from the audience, but it rewards that patience with a mounting sense of dread that creeps up slowly, like vines twisting tighter around the characters' psyches. The director understands that fear isn't always about what happens, but often about what might happen. It's the anticipation, the waiting, the silence that speaks loudest here. One of the director's most remarkable strengths lies in their command of tone. Eden exists in a fluid space between genres, a survival drama, a psychological thriller, a descent into horror. And the director leans into this ambiguity with confidence and subtlety. The film doesn't announce its mood with big musical cues or sudden jumps. Instead, the tone seeps into every frame like a slow poison. The natural world feels indifferent, even hostile. The human characters are fragile and vulnerable, but also stubbornly defiant. The director balances these opposing forces with a deft hand, creating an atmosphere that is charged with unease but never melodramatic. You're never quite sure if the threat is external, the jungle, the enemy, nature itself, or internal, simmering beneath the surface of the men's minds. Visually, the director's style is both restrained and deeply expressive. The choice to frequently use tight, claustrophobic framing, even in the open jungle, creates a sense of entrapment that mirrors the character's psychological states. Faces fill the frame, each wrinkle and bead of sweat telling a story of exhaustion and fear. But then, in contrast, the director employs expansive wide shots where the jungle dominates, overwhelming the humans who appear small, almost insignificant against the towering trees and dense foliage. These compositions emphasize the theme of man versus nature and the futility of control in such a wild, unpredictable environment. The camera movements are deliberate, often slow, inviting the viewer to absorb the environment fully and to feel its oppressive weight. Close-ups are used with surgical precision. The director often zooms in on eyes, hands, or mouths at key emotional moments, inviting the audience into the intimate inner world of each character. There's a famous scene where a soldier's eyes flicker with terror as distant sounds echo through the forest. A moment without words, but filled with raw emotion. Such choices highlight the power of subtlety in conveying internal conflict. The director knows when to hold back and when to focus, using the camera to communicate what dialogue cannot. Sound design and silence are elevated to almost a character-level importance in the film. The director's choice to minimize music in favor of ambient natural sounds, rustling leaves, distant animal calls, the crunch of footsteps on undergrowth, creates a deeply immersive soundscape that heightens tension. When the score does appear, it's sparse and haunting, more a whisper than a roar, enhancing the sense of isolation and impending doom. The director also plays expertly with the absence of sound. There are sequences where the lack of any noise amplifies anxiety, forcing the audience to listen for threats that may never come. This manipulation of sound and silence turns the environment into an invisible antagonist, constantly lurking just out of sight. Pacing in Eden is another carefully calibrated element shaped by the director's vision. The film resists the urge to rush through its narrative or bombard the audience with action. Instead, it moves with a slow, relentless rhythm that mirrors the mental states of the characters as they deteriorate under stress. Early scenes are patient and observant, allowing the audience to settle into the world and the characters' routines. This patience builds a pressure cooker effect, where tension accumulates quietly until it bursts violently in moments of chaos. These bursts are not over-choreographed action set pieces, but raw, gritty, and unsettling confrontations that feel disturbingly real. The director uses this contrast between slow build-up and sudden release to keep viewers on edge, never fully comfortable. Narratively, the director resists neat storytelling. Instead of delivering clear resolutions or heroic arcs, the film unfolds like a psychological maze where the characters lose their grip on reality and identity. Time becomes fluid, with flashbacks, hallucinations, and fragmented memories blending into the present. The director stages these moments with a surreal, almost dreamlike quality that blurs the lines between what is real and what is imagined. One scene might replay with altered dialogue or shifting perspectives, creating a disorienting effect that places the audience inside the characters' fractured minds. This narrative approach demands active engagement and rewards viewers who appreciate layered, complex storytelling. Throughout the film, the director uses visual motifs and recurring imagery to reinforce the themes of decay, isolation, and madness. Symbols like circles, spirals, and shadows appear repeatedly, often carved into trees or etched on skin, suggesting cycles of violence and mental unraveling. These details are never explained outright, but invite interpretation, making the viewing experience richer and more immersive. The director's refusal to spell everything out respects the audience's intelligence and imagination, allowing the film to linger in the mind long after the credits roll. The director's control extends to the actors as well, guiding them toward performances that are raw and unvarnished, perfectly in tune with the film's tone. They encourage moments of silence, hesitation, and discomfort, creating a naturalistic rhythm that enhances the authenticity of the story. The collaboration between director and cast produces a palpable chemistry that amplifies the emotional stakes and makes the group's descent into madness feel inevitable and heartbreaking. In sum, the direction of Eden is a masterful exercise in atmospheric storytelling. It's a film that operates as much through what it withholds as through what it reveals. Every choice, composition, pacing, sound, performance, narrative structure, is aligned with a singular vision to immerse the audience in a world where fear is both external and internal, where reality shifts like sand, and where survival means facing not just the jungle, but the darkness within. The director's ability to weave these elements together into a cohesive, haunting experience makes the cinematography in Eden, 2024, goes beyond simply capturing images. It operates as a powerful narrative voice, guiding the audience through a vivid, immersive experience that feels both raw and poetic. Every frame is carefully crafted to evoke specific emotions, subtly weaving visual cues into the story's fabric, enriching the themes and amplifying the psychological tension simmering beneath the surface. The cinematographer and director have collaborated closely to ensure that the camera work becomes a character of its own, an unblinking observer and an emotional conduit, translating the inner turmoil of the characters and the overwhelming presence of the jungle into a visual language that is at once haunting and beautiful. Right from the opening sequence, the cinematography sets a distinctive tone that balances awe with apprehension. The film frequently employs natural lighting, which adds to the authenticity and intimacy of the experience. Sunlight filters through dense canopies in slanted beams, creating pockets of light amid shadows that seem to breathe and shift with the characters' movements. This interplay of light and shadow doesn't just paint a visually striking picture. It mirrors the narrative's thematic concerns: the conflict between hope and despair, clarity and confusion, survival and surrender. The subtle changes in lighting conditions across scenes reflect the evolving psychological states of the characters, making the environment feel almost alive, constantly responding to the human drama unfolding within it. A remarkable aspect of the cinematography lies in its dynamic use of framing and composition. The director and cinematographer often choose to shoot with a deliberate tightness around characters' faces and bodies, which pulls the audience into an intimate proximity with their fears, doubts, and desperation. Close-ups are handled with great sensitivity, capturing the flicker of a glance, the clench of a jaw, or the moisture pooling in an eye. These intimate shots allow viewers to grasp the unspoken emotional currents and build a connection with the characters' internal struggles. Yet, this intimacy is consistently contrasted with sweeping wide shots that reveal the vastness and indifference of the jungle. These panoramas emphasize the insignificance of human presence against the backdrop of nature's immense power, amplifying the film's themes of isolation and vulnerability. The oscillation between close and wide shots creates a visual rhythm that echoes the characters' fluctuating mental states and the shifting balance between control and chaos. Camera movement in Eden is carefully choreographed to enhance tension and emotional impact. The cinematographer uses slow, deliberate tracking shots that glide through the thick foliage, echoing the cautious, measured steps of the characters navigating a hostile environment. This gradual buildup of tension invites the audience to observe and anticipate, making every rustle or distant sound loaded with potential threat. At moments of heightened intensity or emotional upheaval, the camera switches to handheld mode, lending a raw, visceral energy to the scene. This shift in camera technique effectively throws the viewer into the disorientation and panic experienced by the characters, making the chaos palpable and immediate. The fluid interplay between steady, contemplative shots and jittery, frantic ones mirrors the narrative's psychological oscillations, reinforcing the film's immersive quality. The cinematography also excels in its use of color palettes and grading to further evoke mood and underscore thematic elements. The film predominantly favors muted, earthy tones, deep greens of the jungle, browns of mud and bark, and grays of stormy skies, that root the story in a tangible, gritty reality. These subdued colors reflect the characters' bleak circumstances and the natural decay that surrounds them. However, bursts of saturated color appear strategically throughout the film. A flash of red from a wound or a flame's flicker in the night, providing striking visual punctuation that draws attention to critical moments or symbolic motifs. This controlled use of color acts like a visual heartbeat, intensifying emotional highs and underscoring the narrative's dramatic arcs. Beyond basic framing and color, the cinematography incorporates visual metaphors and motifs that deepen the story's psychological texture. Reflections in water pools or distorted images seen through cracked glass become recurring motifs that symbolize fractured identities and blurred realities. Shadows stretching long across the jungle floor evoke the looming presence of unseen fears and internal demons. The camera lingers on natural elements, twisting vines, decaying leaves, and creeping moss, that visually echo the character's mental unraveling and the encroaching madness of the jungle environment. These carefully woven images invite viewers to look beneath the surface, rewarding those who appreciate layered, symbolic storytelling with a richer understanding of the film's emotional core. Lighting design is another crucial component where cinematography shines. The film often contrasts bright, harsh daylight with the enveloping darkness of night scenes, using this dichotomy to heighten psychological tension. In daylight, the jungle feels simultaneously alive and oppressive, with shifting light patterns creating a sense of unpredictability. At night, the film's lighting becomes sparse and moody. Campfires cast flickering glows, moonlight filters coldly through leaves, and shadows become almost tactile presences. This dramatic shift in lighting underscores the character's vulnerability and the ever-present danger lurking in the darkness. The strategic use of light and shadow not only builds suspense, but also reinforces the story's exploration of fear, survival, and the unknown. Sound design closely complements the cinematography, though it's the visuals that often lead the emotional charge. The camera captures the minute details of the environment, the slight trembling of a leaf, the glint of a drop of water, the subtle play of light on skin, that heightens sensory immersion. These details, combined with the soundscape, create a world that feels hyper-real yet unsettlingly alien. The cinematography encourages the viewer to engage with the environment not as passive observers, but as participants who can almost feel the humidity, hear the distant calls, and sense the lurking threat. Overall, the cinematography of Eden is a masterclass in visual storytelling that transcends traditional filmmaking techniques. It elevates the film from a straightforward survival story into a rich, multi-sensory journey that captures the fragility of human existence amidst the overwhelming forces of nature and the mind. Through its innovative use of light, color, framing, and movement, the cinematography shapes the emotional heartbeat of the film, drawing audiences into a world where every shadow, every glance, and every ray of light carries meaning. It transforms the jungle from mere setting to an active, almost sentient presence, making Eden not just seen, but deeply felt long after the final frame fades. The editing in Eden, 2024, acts as the very pulse of the film, controlling the rhythm, emotional flow, and narrative momentum in ways that are both subtle and profoundly impactful. It's not just about cutting scenes together. It's about orchestrating the viewer's entire experience, guiding when to hold breath, when to rush forward, and when to pause and reflect. From the opening frames, the editing establishes a carefully calibrated tempo that echoes the unpredictable and often perilous environment the characters inhabit, balancing moments of simmering tension with bursts of frantic action. At the start, the film adopts a measured pace, allowing the audience time to settle into the dense, mysterious world of Eden. The editor lets shots linger thoughtfully, emphasizing atmosphere, character expressions, and environmental details. These longer takes aren't just for aesthetic pleasure. They build a foundational mood of unease and curiosity. The natural sounds of the jungle, coupled with quiet visual moments, create a sensory immersion that draws viewers fully into the story's setting. This deliberate pacing also serves to highlight the isolation and vulnerability of the characters, making their later struggles all the more visceral. As the plot advances and conflicts emerge, the editing rhythm dynamically shifts. The film moves into a higher gear through the use of quicker cuts, compressed scenes, and sharper transitions. These techniques simulate the heightened alertness and adrenaline surges experienced by the characters when faced with danger. Rapid-fire editing conveys confusion, urgency, and the chaos of survival, forcing the audience to feel the intensity firsthand. The editor cleverly varies shot lengths and angles in these sequences, creating a sense of disorientation and unpredictability that mirrors the character's fractured state of mind. However, this increased tempo is carefully balanced by interludes of slower, more reflective editing. The film knows when to take its foot off the gas, allowing moments of quiet contemplation to breathe. These scenes feature extended shots, minimal cutting, and sometimes near silence, inviting viewers to delve into the character's inner emotional landscapes. The pacing here is almost meditative, providing space for subtle expressions, glances, and nonverbal communication to resonate. This contrast between fast and slow sequences creates a compelling push and pull that sustains engagement, keeping the audience emotionally tethered throughout the film's twists and turns. A particularly effective editorial choice is the use of parallel editing or cross-cutting, where the film cuts between simultaneous events occurring in different locations or from different characters' perspectives. This technique heightens suspense by building anticipation and highlighting the interconnectedness of the characters' journeys. The timing of these cuts is expertly handled, ensuring the tension escalates naturally without feeling forced. Through these interwoven narratives, the editor enriches the story's complexity and invites the audience to piece together multiple threads simultaneously. The film also features skillful handling of nonlinear storytelling elements, such as flashbacks or fragmented memories. Rather than disrupting the narrative flow, these sequences are integrated seamlessly through visual or auditory cues, perhaps a sound, a gesture, or a color motif, that gently usher the viewer into past events or alternative viewpoints. This smooth integration keeps the story coherent while adding layers of depth and context. The nonlinear structure deepens character backstories and motivations, making the present-day events more impactful. Sound design works hand in hand with the editing to shape the film's mood and rhythm. Cuts are often synchronized with natural sounds, the rustling of leaves, distant animal calls, or subtle musical cues, enhancing the immersive quality of the viewing experience. The editor's sense of timing ensures that these audio-visual moments land with emotional precision, amplifying suspense or highlighting moments of calm. Silence is also wielded as a powerful tool. Well-placed quiet moments heighten tension and focus attention on characters' reactions or environmental details. While the film's pacing is mostly balanced, there are scenes where the editing deliberately slows to create a hypnotic effect, allowing atmosphere and mood to dominate. These sequences might feel prolonged to some, but they serve an important function in deepening the sense of place and internal conflict. Conversely, some action-heavy sequences feature rapid cuts that border on frenetic, mirroring the character's panic and confusion. These moments can be overwhelming if experienced back-to-back, but they are spaced judiciously to maintain viewer engagement without fatigue. Ultimately, the editing of Eden is a vital storytelling force, shaping how the narrative unfolds and how viewers emotionally connect with the film. Through a sophisticated interplay of pacing, transitions, and rhythmic variation, it crafts a viewing experience that feels organic, intense, and profoundly human. The editor's artistry ensures that every cut and every pause serves a purpose, making the film's journey through its wild, unpredictable world as gripping and immersive as the story itself. Eden, 2024, doesn't just tell a survival story. It unfolds like a layered meditation on some of the most profound and timeless themes that resonate deeply with human experience. The film uses its intense, immersive setting as a canvas to explore the intricate dance between man and nature, identity and transformation, isolation and connection, and the fragile moral codes that govern survival. These themes are woven seamlessly throughout the narrative, creating a rich tapestry that invites viewers to ponder life's complexities without ever feeling like the film is lecturing or preaching. At the very core of Eden is the theme of humanity's relationship with nature. The film vividly portrays nature not as a passive backdrop, but as a dynamic, sometimes unforgiving force that shapes the characters' destinies. The jungle environment is alive with sounds, sights, and unseen dangers, reminding viewers that survival is a negotiation, a constant give and take rather than a simple battle of conquest. Eden challenges the anthropocentric view that humans are the ultimate masters of their world, instead emphasizing humility, respect, and coexistence. This theme is visually underscored by the film's cinematography, which often lingers on the beauty and raw power of the natural world. Lush greenery, ominous shadows, and fleeting wildlife, all reminding us that nature's rhythms exist on a scale far beyond human control. This relationship is nuanced, showing moments of awe and terror, where characters both struggle against and find solace within the wilderness. The film's exploration of isolation versus connection is deeply human and emotionally resonant. The characters are physically stranded in a hostile environment, cut off from civilization and familiar comforts. But Eden also delves into the emotional isolation that comes with trauma, fear, and mistrust. These internal barriers can be even more daunting than the external challenges. The film carefully peels back layers of its characters' inner worlds, revealing how their pasts and personal demons isolate them even when they are in close proximity. Yet, amid this emotional distance, the narrative highlights moments where vulnerability opens pathways to connection. Relationships are fragile and fraught, marked by tension and sometimes betrayal, but also by empathy, loyalty, and the shared instinct to survive. This push and pull between alienation and human connection adds a rich emotional texture to the story, making the characters' interactions feel authentic and deeply affecting. Identity and transformation are central motifs running through Eden. As the characters navigate the brutal demands of the jungle, they are forced to confront who they truly are beneath the layers of societal expectation, fear, and self-doubt. The film probes questions of selfhood. How much is shaped by circumstance, and what remains constant even when everything else is stripped away? Characters undergo profound changes, some growing stronger, others fracturing under pressure. These transformations aren't simply physical, but psychological and spiritual, illustrating how extreme environments catalyze a re-evaluation of identity. The film refrains from simplistic character arcs. Instead, it embraces complexity, showing that survival often requires both adaptation and the painful shedding of old selves. This theme resonates on a universal level, tapping into the human desire for self-understanding and growth amidst adversity. Moral ambiguity threads through the narrative, adding depth and tension. The characters face situations that test their ethics, forcing them to make decisions where right and wrong are blurred by the instinct to survive. Eden doesn't provide easy answers or clear heroes and villains. Instead, it presents ethical dilemmas in a nuanced way. Questions of trust, sacrifice, and loyalty arise naturally from the characters' interactions and the pressures they face. This moral complexity keeps the audience engaged on a cerebral level, encouraging reflection on what choices they might make in similar circumstances. The film's refusal to simplify these dilemmas adds to its emotional realism, showing that survival often exists in shades of gray rather than black and white. Hope and despair coexist throughout the film, creating a powerful emotional undercurrent. Eden skillfully balances moments of crushing bleakness with fleeting glimmers of hope, underscoring the resilience of the human spirit. The narrative acknowledges that hope can be fragile and sometimes painfully elusive, yet it remains a driving force that propels the characters forward. This oscillation between light and dark creates a dynamic emotional landscape, where despair heightens the stakes and hope provides necessary relief and motivation. Rather than offering a simplistic or overly optimistic message, the film embraces this tension as a fundamental part of the survival experience, making the story feel more authentic and relatable. What makes these themes especially effective is the way they are communicated through subtlety and integration rather than explicit exposition. Eden trusts its audience, using symbolism, visual motifs, and character interactions to convey deeper meanings. Recurring elements in the environment, such as the encroaching jungle or changing weather, mirror internal struggles and thematic concerns. Dialogue is purposeful but not heavy-handed, allowing viewers to interpret and discover layers on their own. This approach invites active engagement, making the viewing experience intellectually and emotionally rewarding. The film's narrative is enriched by these undercurrents, which deepen with repeated viewings, revealing new insights and perspectives. In addition, Eden plays with the idea of storytelling itself, how narratives are shaped by memory, perspective, and emotion. The non-linear structure and flashbacks invite viewers to piece together the story, much like the characters must piece together their understanding of their situation. This meta-theme about the nature of truth and memory adds another dimension to the film's exploration of identity and human experience. Ultimately, the themes and messages of Eden are what give the film its lasting impact. They transform it from a simple survival thriller into a rich, multifaceted exploration of what it means to be human in the face of overwhelming odds. The film's ability to weave these thought-provoking ideas into its story naturally and engagingly makes it a compelling cinematic journey, one that invites reflection, stirs emotion, and leaves a lingering sense of wonder about the resilience and complexity of life itself. The set design and locations in Eden, 2024, stand out as one of the film's strongest pillars, weaving together a world that feels not only believable but richly textured and alive with its own stories. From the outset, the filmmakers demonstrate a keen understanding that the setting is far more than a mere backdrop. It is the very environment in which the story's tension and drama unfold, shaping the characters' experiences and the narrative's emotional weight. The care and detail poured into every aspect of the production design, from sprawling natural landscapes to the smallest props scattered across the frame, create an immersive atmosphere that pulls viewers deep into the heart of this jungle world. The locations chosen for Eden are strikingly authentic and diverse, ranging from dense, almost claustrophobic thickets of foliage to open clearings that contrast with the shadows lurking nearby. The jungle isn't just green scenery, but a living, breathing entity with moods and textures that shift in tandem with the plot. It's lush and vibrant in some scenes, offering moments of fragile beauty, but in others, it turns menacing and oppressive, cloaking threats in darkness and mist. The camera work capitalizes on these qualities, often lingering on tangled branches, dripping leaves, and muddy riverbanks, inviting the audience to feel the humidity, hear the distant calls of wildlife, and sense the unpredictable dangers hidden just out of sight. This makes the environment feel dynamic and immersive, a place where every step might bring discovery or disaster. But it's not just the natural environment that impresses. The human touch in the set design brings a layered history and lived-in realism to the film. Makeshift campsites, weather-beaten tools, frayed ropes, and personal belongings scattered across various locations speak volumes about the character's journey and the trials faced by those who came before. These props aren't random decorations, but carefully chosen artifacts that tell silent stories of survival, loss, and hope. A torn map left half buried in the dirt or a cracked compass hanging from a tree branch hints at desperate attempts to navigate and conquer the wilderness, enriching the film's narrative without needing explicit exposition. These details add texture and depth, making the setting feel worn and authentic rather than staged. The interplay between natural and human-made elements in the production design adds further complexity to the film's themes. The jungle's gradual reclamation of abandoned structures, rusted vehicles swallowed by vines, crumbling huts overrun by moss, symbolizes nature's resilience and the fragility of human endeavors against the wild. This visual metaphor underscores the film's tension between civilization and the untamed world, survival and surrender. It's a subtle but powerful commentary woven directly into the physical environment that the characters inhabit, reminding viewers that the jungle is both adversary and backdrop. lighting, and weather also become crucial tools in the design of the film's world. The production employs natural light, filtering through the canopy in golden shafts during moments of calm, contrasting with scenes drenched in relentless rainstorms where visibility is reduced and every movement feels precarious. This atmospheric variation is not just a visual choice, but a storytelling device, influencing mood, tension, and character behavior. The shifting light and weather patterns serve to heighten the emotional stakes, whether by casting ominous shadows that foreshadow danger or bathing a scene in soft light that suggests fleeting safety and hope. Interior sets, such as temporary shelters, remote research stations, or hidden underground bunkers, maintain the film's gritty realism. These spaces are designed to feel functional and hastily constructed, emphasizing survival over comfort or aesthetics. The worn surfaces, patched walls, and cluttered interiors tell stories of urgency and adaptation, reinforcing the character's constant struggle to exist within this hostile environment. This attention to practical detail helps to maintain immersion and prevents the narrative from feeling detached or artificial. The spatial design within the film is another layer worth noting. The use of confined spaces, narrow trails, and dense vegetation creates a sense of claustrophobia that amplifies the suspense. Scenes where characters move cautiously through tangled underbrush or hide behind natural barriers leverage the environment to build tension and uncertainty. The filmmakers skillfully use these spatial dynamics to keep viewers on edge, reminding them that the jungle is unpredictable and unforgiving. All these elements come together to create a setting that's not just visually stunning, but narratively vital. The set design and locations actively shape the story's emotional resonance and tension, turning the jungle into a palpable force that influences every choice and challenge the characters face. Watching Eden, audiences don't merely observe a story unfolding in an exotic locale. They feel transported into a fully realized world where every detail, from the shimmer of wet leaves to the scattered remnants of human presence, contributes to an intense and unforgettable cinematic experience. This meticulous crafting of place makes the environment itself a character, alive with danger, mystery, and beauty, and essential to the film's lasting impact. The dialogue and script in Eden, 2024, are masterfully crafted, serving as the heartbeat of the film and bringing its story and characters vividly to life in a way that feels both natural and captivating. Unlike many films that use dialogue simply as a vehicle to push the plot forward, Eden's writing takes a much more nuanced approach, layering conversations with emotional depth, subtle subtext, and an engaging rhythm that mirrors the unfolding tension and intimacy of the narrative. From the opening scenes, the dialogue pulls viewers into the world of the characters, not through heavy exposition or forced explanations, but through exchanges that feel lived in, raw, and authentic. The way the characters speak to one another captures the complexity of human interaction, especially under pressure, whether through terse words loaded with unspoken fears or quiet moments where vulnerability breaks through the surface. What stands out most about the script is its emotional versatility. The writing expertly balances moments of high tension with quieter, reflective conversations, allowing the characters' personalities, motivations, and internal conflicts to shine through. Rather than relying on broad statements or predictable lines, the dialogue is filled with subtle cues and layered meanings, where what's unsaid often carries more weight than what's spoken aloud. This use of subtext enriches the storytelling by creating tension not just in action, but in the silences, glances, and hesitant words exchanged between characters. Each conversation feels purposeful, revealing new facets of relationships and individual struggles without ever feeling forced or on the nose. The characters' interactions are also peppered with moments of genuine wit and understated humor, which play a crucial role in balancing the film's intensity. These instances of levity feel organic rather than inserted purely for comic relief, emerging naturally from the characters' personalities or the absurdity of certain situations. This careful integration of humor adds a human dimension to the story, reminding audiences that even amid hardship, there can be sparks of lightness and connection. It prevents the film from becoming overly grim and helps build rapport between viewers and characters, making the emotional stakes all the more compelling. Memorable, impactful lines punctuate the dialogue throughout the film, often distilling the core themes or emotional turning points into concise, resonant statements. These lines linger in the audience's mind, acting like emotional signposts that highlight moments of realization, resolve, or loss. Whether it's a heartfelt admission of fear, a defiant assertion of hope, or a poetic observation about survival and identity, these key pieces of dialogue add layers of meaning and invite reflection beyond the immediate scene. They demonstrate a careful attention to language and tone that elevates the script from simple communication to something more evocative and thought-provoking. In terms of pacing, the script is finely tuned to the film's rhythm. Dialogue scenes ebb and flow with the narrative tension. Some conversations are slow and contemplative, allowing characters to process trauma or make difficult decisions, while others are rapid-fire exchanges fueled by urgency and conflict. This dynamic pacing keeps the audience fully engaged, matching the emotional tempo of the story and preventing any lag or monotony. The script also skillfully avoids overloading the audience with exposition. Instead, crucial information is revealed through dialogue that feels natural and integrated, often through subtext or brief hints, encouraging viewers to piece together the story actively rather than being handed everything outright. One of the script's great strengths lies in how distinctly it voices each character. The dialogue reflects their unique backgrounds, personalities, and emotional states, making their speech patterns, vocabulary, and mannerisms instantly recognizable. This helps build multidimensional characters who grow and evolve over the course of the film. The differences in how characters express themselves also highlight the tensions and bonds between them, adding complexity to their relationships. Through what they say and how they say it, the script charts their individual journeys of change, loss, and hope, drawing viewers into a deeper understanding of their inner lives. Overall, the dialogue and script in Eden do far more than fill the spaces between action or provide plot details. They form the emotional core of the film, bringing its themes to life through richly drawn characters, subtle storytelling, and a blend of realism, wit, and poetic insight. The writing invites audiences into an intimate and immersive experience, making the story's highs and lows feel immediate and meaningful. This careful craftsmanship of language ensures that the film resonates long after the credits roll, leaving viewers not only entertained, but thoughtfully engaged with the world and people they've witnessed on screen. Eden, 2024, takes the adventure thriller genre and enriches it with a thoughtful layer of social and cultural commentary that adds surprising depth to the narrative. Rather than interrupting the momentum with overt messages or preachy dialogue, the film weaves these themes subtly and naturally into the story, allowing them to emerge organically from the characters' experiences and the environment around them. This approach makes the commentary feel lived in and authentic, inviting viewers to reflect on contemporary issues without ever feeling like they are being lectured. At the forefront of Eden's social commentary is its nuanced exploration of humanity's relationship with the natural world. The film doesn't simply use the jungle as an exotic backdrop or a thrilling obstacle course. Instead, it treats the environment as a vital and active force in the story, emphasizing its complexity, beauty, and inherent danger. The wilderness serves as a reminder of the delicate balance between humans and nature, a balance often disrupted by human interference. Without resorting to heavy-handed messaging, the movie portrays the environment as a character that demands respect and caution, echoing broader conversations about climate change, conservation, and ecological responsibility. This commentary is deeply relevant in today's world, yet it is embedded within the story in a way that feels immersive rather than didactic. The natural setting becomes a silent storyteller, underscoring the consequences of human actions on ecosystems and the urgent need for sustainable coexistence. Beyond environmental themes, Eden thoughtfully delves into ideas of survival and resilience that resonate on a social and psychological level. The character's journey isn't just a physical struggle against the elements and external threats. It's also a profound exploration of human endurance, moral ambiguity, and the will to survive in extreme circumstances. These themes reflect real-world issues such as economic instability, social unrest, and personal hardship, making the character's dilemmas relatable on a broader scale. The film prompts viewers to consider how people respond when pushed to their limits, what they sacrifice, whom they trust, and how their values shift under pressure. This layering of survival beyond the literal enriches the narrative, elevating it from a simple thriller to a meditation on human nature and societal challenges. Cultural diversity and interpersonal dynamics form another compelling strand of commentary within Eden. The film brings together characters from varied backgrounds, creating a microcosm of cultural intersection that explores themes of identity, cooperation, and conflict. Rather than reducing these interactions to stereotypes or predictable clashes, the film embraces the complexity of multicultural relationships, showing how misunderstandings, biases, and preconceptions can both divide and unite people. This exploration is handled with subtlety, emerging naturally from the characters' experiences and circumstances rather than through forced exposition. The movie suggests that empathy and communication are essential tools not just for survival in the jungle, but for navigating the complexities of modern society. This message feels especially pertinent in an increasingly globalized world where cultural differences are both a source of richness and tension. Political undertones are subtly woven through the film's portrayal of power struggles, leadership challenges, and shifting alliances among the characters. While Eden does not explicitly engage with partisan politics or ideological debates, the dynamics within the group mirror larger societal questions about authority, trust, and the ethical use of power. The tensions that arise, who leads, who follows, who betrays, offer a reflective look at how people wield influence and respond to crises. These themes resonate beyond the immediate plot, encouraging viewers to think about leadership and cooperation in their own communities and societies. The fact that these political elements are integrated as part of the character-driven drama rather than overt messaging enhances their impact, making the film a thought-provoking social allegory without detracting from its entertainment value. What truly stands out about Eden's approach to social and cultural commentary is its balance and subtlety. The film respects the intelligence of its audience, trusting them to pick up on these deeper themes without spelling everything out. This respectful approach allows the story to flow smoothly, maintaining tension, excitement, and emotional engagement, while simultaneously encouraging reflection on important contemporary issues. The result is a layered cinematic experience that operates on multiple levels, appealing both to viewers seeking thrills and those looking for meaningful commentary beneath the surface. Moreover, the film's treatment of sensitive topics is handled with care and nuance. Rather than sensationalizing or simplifying complex social issues, Eden presents them with honesty and depth, acknowledging the gray areas and contradictions inherent in human behavior and society. This thoughtful handling ensures that the commentary enriches the narrative rather than feeling tacked on or forced. The film uses its genre as a platform to explore humanity's struggles in a way that feels genuine and resonant. In summary, Eden, 2024, stands out not just for its gripping adventure and suspense, but also for the way it integrates social and cultural commentary into its storytelling. It raises important questions about humanity's relationship with nature, the complexities of survival and resilience, the challenges and rewards of cultural diversity, and the nature of power and leadership, all without sacrificing the excitement and pace of the genre. This seamless blend makes Eden a compelling and thought-provoking film that stays with the audience long after the credits roll. When it comes to audience engagement, Eden, 2024, truly excels at creating an emotional experience that stays with viewers long after the film ends. The movie doesn't just present events on the screen. It invites the audience to dive headfirst into the emotional currents flowing beneath the story, ensuring that viewers feel every twist and turn, every moment of suspense, hope, and heartbreak. This immersive emotional pull is one of the film's greatest strengths, making the viewing experience not just entertaining, but deeply memorable. From the very opening scenes, Eden sets a tone that grabs attention and never lets go. The film's buildup of tension is masterful, carefully calibrated so that excitement swells gradually but surely, pulling the audience into the heart of the action. These moments of rising suspense are intense without feeling overwhelming, allowing viewers to feel the adrenaline alongside the characters. Whether it's a narrow escape, a sudden confrontation, or a shocking revelation, the pacing ensures that each scene lands with maximum impact, making the audience's pulse quicken and their focus sharpen. The emotional engagement here is visceral, as if the viewer is living through the challenges rather than simply observing them. But Eden doesn't rely solely on adrenaline to engage its audience. It also excels in the quieter, more introspective moments where the emotional depth of the story truly shines. These scenes often reveal the vulnerabilities, fears, and hopes of the characters, creating a strong empathetic connection between them and the viewers. For instance, intimate conversations, moments of personal reflection, or acts of kindness amid adversity allow audiences to see the humanity beneath the surface of survival. These emotional beats add layers of meaning and resonance, making the characters feel fully realized and relatable rather than just figures in an action story. It's in these moments that the film invites the audience to pause and reflect on the complexities of the human experience, how people grapple with loss, hope, trust, and redemption. An unexpected but welcome aspect of Eden's emotional texture is its subtle use of humor. While the film is primarily a suspenseful adventure, it sprinkles in bits of levity and wit that feel completely natural. These moments often arise from the characters' interactions, brief exchanges or reactions that break the tension just enough to keep the mood balanced. This humor not only endears the characters to the audience, but also provides a much-needed emotional breath, preventing the intensity from becoming exhausting. It shows that even in dire circumstances, people find ways to laugh and connect, which deepens the film's emotional authenticity. This nuanced balance of tension, emotion, and humor encourages viewers to engage with Eden on multiple levels. It's the kind of film that invites repeat viewings, as the layers of character development and thematic subtlety reveal new details and insights each time. With every watch, audiences may notice small gestures, background details, or dialogue nuances that deepen their understanding of the story and its emotional core. This layered storytelling means Eden doesn't just entertain. It rewards curiosity and thoughtful reflection, making it a film that viewers want to revisit and discuss. In fact, the movie sparks lively conversation among audiences because it touches on universal themes like survival, resilience, and human connection in ways that feel both specific and broadly applicable. People find themselves debating character decisions, pondering the moral complexities presented, and sharing interpretations of the film's deeper messages. This engagement extends beyond the theater or living room screen, as viewers bring the story into discussions with friends, family, or online communities, making Eden a catalyst for shared experience and thought. A significant part of the film's emotional power comes from the performances of its cast. The actors bring a remarkable authenticity and emotional rawness to their roles, making it easy for the audience to invest in their journeys. The leads convey a wide emotional spectrum, from quiet despair to fierce determination, while the supporting cast adds richness and complexity to the group dynamic. This genuine portrayal of emotions creates a strong sense of empathy, allowing viewers to experience the characters' highs and lows intimately. Because the performances feel so believable, the emotional stakes of the story become real and impactful. Furthermore, Eden employs cinematic techniques that enhance audience engagement on a sensory level. The use of close-ups during moments of emotional intensity captures the subtle expressions and micro-reactions of characters, drawing viewers closer to their internal struggles. The sound design and musical score work hand in hand to amplify the mood. Whether it's the swelling tension of a chase or the quiet intimacy of a heartfelt conversation, guiding the audience's emotions without overpowering the narrative. These elements combine to create a fully immersive atmosphere, where the emotional rhythm of the film pulses through every scene. Ultimately, Eden succeeds in crafting an emotional journey that resonates widely, inviting viewers to laugh, gasp, feel suspense, and perhaps even shed a tear. It manages to entertain while simultaneously encouraging deeper emotional and intellectual engagement. The film's ability to balance excitement with genuine emotional moments ensures that audiences remain connected not just to the plot, but to the heart of the story, the human experiences at its core. This powerful connection is what makes Eden a standout film, one that leaves a lasting impression and continues to spark reflection and conversation well beyond the final frame. When we dive deeper into how Eden, 2024, stacks up against other films in its genre, franchise, or the director's past work, it becomes clear that this movie plays an interesting balancing act between honoring familiar conventions and boldly charting its own course. Survival dramas and environmental thrillers have a long history of captivating audiences with stories of human resilience against overwhelming odds, and Eden fits into that tradition while also offering something that feels fresh and thoughtfully crafted. Starting with survival films more broadly, classics like The Revenant, Cast Away, or 127 Hours focus intensely on the individual's battle against nature, often isolating their protagonists to highlight raw physical and emotional endurance. Eden shares this focus on survival, but broadens the scope by centering on a group dynamic that's far more complex and emotionally rich. Unlike the solitary journeys typical of many survival movies, here we see a community struggling together, facing internal conflicts, forging alliances, and navigating their shared predicament. This emphasis on interconnectedness gives Eden a unique flavor. Rather than just fighting nature, the characters must also wrestle with human relationships, trust, and betrayal. It adds layers of psychological and emotional tension, making the story feel more expansive and layered. The audience is drawn not just to the physical challenges, but also to the evolving social fabric among the survivors. On the environmental thriller front, movies such as Annihilation, The Road, and Into the Wild paint various pictures of nature as either a menacing force or a mystical realm. While some lean toward bleak or dystopian visions, Eden strikes a delicate balance by portraying nature as both beautiful and dangerous. The film captures the awe-inspiring aspects of the wilderness without romanticizing it, maintaining a grounded realism that keeps viewers on edge. The environmental themes in Eden are integrated in a way that feels natural to the story rather than tacked on as a message. The film avoids the preachiness found in some eco-thrillers and instead lets the setting and circumstances speak for themselves, encouraging reflection without overt moralizing. This subtle approach allows the audience to engage more deeply with the themes of survival and human impact on the environment. Examining the director's filmography adds another layer to the comparison. If the director's earlier work was more straightforward, maybe focused on character-driven dramas or traditional action films, Eden represents a maturation and expansion of their style. The director's signature touches, like atmospheric tension, careful framing, and attention to character detail, are still present, but now paired with a bolder narrative structure and more ambitious thematic exploration. The pacing is more deliberate, allowing moments of quiet introspection to breathe alongside high-stakes action. Visually, the director embraces both sweeping landscape shots and intimate close-ups, creating a rhythm that supports the emotional highs and lows of the story. This evolution signals a filmmaker growing more confident in blending spectacle with subtlety, creating a film that feels both polished and heartfelt. When compared to more recent genre entries, Eden stands out with its practical effects and grounded cinematography. Unlike some films that rely heavily on flashy CGI or over-the-top visual effects, Eden uses digital elements sparingly and with precision. This approach is reminiscent of films like The Grey or The Descent, where the natural environment is not just a backdrop, but an active, immersive force in the narrative. The production design and locations are thoughtfully chosen to amplify realism, which deepens audience immersion and emotional investment. The visual style helps the film avoid the sometimes artificial feeling of overly CGI-dependent movies, giving it a tactile, lived-in atmosphere that's both compelling and believable. One common pitfall in survival and thriller genres is falling back on clichés. Predictable betrayals, formulaic last survivor plots, or characters who behave in unrealistic ways just to serve the plot. Eden sidesteps many of these traps by focusing on well-rounded character development and authentic emotional beats. The character arcs feel genuine, with motivations that arise naturally from their backgrounds and situations. Plot twists are rooted in the story's internal logic, rather than being inserted solely for shock value. This careful storytelling keeps the audience engaged and invested because the surprises feel earned and believable. The film respects its viewers' intelligence, offering a narrative that challenges expectations without alienating them. If we look at ensemble survival films like The Edge or The Descent, which explore how group dynamics shift under pressure, Eden adds its own spin by infusing these interactions with emotional nuance and moral complexity. The characters' conflicts are not just about survival tactics or power struggles. They are shaped by their histories, regrets, and personal codes of ethics. This makes the interpersonal drama richer and more relatable. The film doesn't just show people pushed to their limits physically. It reveals how crisis exposes hidden fears, forces difficult choices, and sometimes brings out unexpected compassion. This layered portrayal elevates Eden above many genre peers that focus more narrowly on action or suspense. Looking at the genre execution overall, Eden demonstrates a strong understanding of what makes survival thrillers compelling while refreshing those elements with thoughtful storytelling and emotional depth. It balances action and tension with moments of introspection and character-driven drama. It plays with audience expectations, offering enough familiarity to be accessible, but also enough innovation to surprise and engage. This balancing act makes it an appealing film for both hardcore genre fans and viewers looking for a story with heart and meaning. Finally, when comparing Eden to other films within its thematic orbit, those dealing with resilience, nature, and human connection, it's clear that it contributes a distinct voice. It doesn't just replicate well-known tropes, but invites viewers to reconsider survival through a more empathetic, interconnected lens. This approach makes the movie memorable not only as an exciting adventure, but also as a thoughtful exploration of how humans relate to each other and the natural world when everything is on the line. In short, Eden offers a rich and engaging experience that stands tall among its peers. It embraces the strengths of the genre while injecting originality and emotional complexity. The film shows respect for the traditions of survival and environmental storytelling, but isn't afraid to innovate and deepen those traditions. For anyone who appreciates stories that combine thrilling action with meaningful character exploration and thematic subtlety, Eden delivers a unique and satisfying cinematic journey. Eden, 2024, is a film that thrives on its rich tapestry of symbolism and metaphors, weaving these elements throughout the narrative to deepen the audience's connection to its story and themes. These layers of meaning don't just sit quietly in the background. They actively shape how we experience the film, adding nuance and a sense of mystery that encourages viewers to think and feel beyond the surface-level plot. The garden motif, central to the film's identity, acts as a powerful metaphor. The name Eden immediately conjures images of the biblical paradise, an idyllic place of purity and innocence before the fall. Yet the film's wilderness is anything but a flawless paradise. It is a world of contrasts, breathtaking natural beauty intertwined with lurking dangers, a place where the characters must confront both external threats and their own internal conflicts. This garden is symbolic of the fragile balance between innocence and experience, safety and peril, freedom and entrapment. The environment reflects the characters' journeys. Its unpredictable nature mirrors the unpredictability of life itself. It reminds the audience that paradise can be lost and reclaimed, often in the same breath, and that survival is as much about adapting to change as it is about resisting it. Water plays a multifaceted symbolic role throughout the film. Flowing rivers, sudden storms, and tranquil pools serve as visual metaphors for cleansing, renewal, and the relentless passage of time. Water's ever-changing nature embodies transformation. Characters encounter water at key moments, often coinciding with personal revelations or shifts in their arcs. For example, a rainstorm might wash away the grime and scars of past mistakes, suggesting a chance at rebirth or redemption. Crossing a river might symbolize a point of no return, a boundary between old and new selves, or a leap of faith into uncertain futures. These water motifs invite viewers to think about the cyclical nature of life and the possibility of hope amid hardship. The film's deliberate use of light and shadow amplifies the emotional and thematic undertones. Scenes illuminated by warm, golden light suggest moments of clarity, connection, and optimism, times when characters find peace, understanding, or strength. In stark contrast, the encroaching shadows and darkness represent fear, confusion, and the unknown forces both within and outside the characters. This chiaroscuro effect is not just an aesthetic choice, but a storytelling device that visually mirrors the struggle between hope and despair, knowledge and ignorance, safety and danger. It keeps the audience visually engaged and emotionally aligned with the characters' states of mind, building tension and anticipation as the story unfolds. The film also employs recurring motifs like broken branches, wildflowers blooming in desolate places, and discarded personal items left behind in the wilderness. These images serve as metaphors for resilience, decay, and the passage of time. The way nature reclaims abandoned objects underscores the theme of impermanence and renewal. Wildflowers pushing through cracks in the earth symbolize stubborn life and hope flourishing even in adversity. Broken branches, meanwhile, hint at damage and fragility, but also the potential for regrowth. These subtle visual cues enrich the setting, transforming it from mere backdrop into a living participant in the narrative. They echo the characters' own struggles, damaged yet enduring, vulnerable yet persistent. Animal imagery punctuates the film's symbolic language with primal energy. Encounters with animals, whether fleeting or sustained, highlight the connection between humans and the natural world. Animals symbolize instinct, survival, and sometimes wisdom or omen. For example, a fox slipping through the underbrush might represent cunning or adaptability, while a soaring bird might stand for freedom or escape. These moments are charged with meaning, often marking turning points or illuminating a character's inner nature. The presence of animals blurs the line between human and wild, emphasizing that survival is as much about understanding and respecting nature as it is about overcoming it. Symbolism extends into the film's dialogue and character naming as well. Names might carry mythological or historical resonance that hints at personality traits or narrative roles, subtly informing the audience about who these characters are beneath the surface. Conversations peppered with metaphorical language reinforce the film's themes of growth, loss, and human connection. These linguistic choices elevate the script, giving it poetic depth and encouraging viewers to listen closely and read between the lines. All these symbols and metaphors work in concert to create a story that feels layered and alive. The film asks its audience not just to watch but to interpret, to feel, and to reflect. It turns familiar survival tropes into a meditation on human nature and the environment, exploring how people relate to each other and the wild when stripped of societal norms. The symbolism enriches every scene, inviting multiple viewings and deeper discussions about the film's meanings. This approach to storytelling transforms Eden from a simple adventure into a complex, emotionally resonant experience. The symbolism amplifies the narrative's impact, making moments of triumph and despair feel larger than life, yet deeply personal. It reminds us that survival is not just about physical endurance, but about spiritual and emotional resilience, about finding hope and meaning even when the world feels chaotic and unforgiving. By embedding these metaphors and symbolic cues throughout, Eden offers a cinematic journey that rewards curiosity and thoughtful engagement. It challenges the audience to look beyond the obvious and discover the hidden threads that connect the characters, the environment, and the broader human experience. This richness in symbolism turns Eden into a film that lingers long after the credits roll, encouraging reflection on what it truly means to survive, to lose, and to find a new beginning amid the wilderness. Eden, 2024, while not officially part of a franchise or series, resonates strongly within the larger landscape of survival and adventure films, contributing meaningfully to ongoing cinematic traditions and conversations. To understand its place fully, it's helpful to explore how it aligns with, deviates from, and expands upon the narratives and themes established by earlier works in the genre, as well as how it evokes historical echoes of humanity's timeless struggle with nature. Within the world of survival cinema, Eden occupies an intriguing spot. It draws on the classic blueprint laid down by landmark films, those intense, edge-of-your-seat stories where individuals or groups face nature's raw power and their own inner demons. It respects the genre staples, rugged landscapes that challenge the characters physically, moments of sheer desperation, and the test of human will under pressure. However, where Eden really sets itself apart is in how it deepens these familiar elements through rich symbolism, nuanced character arcs, and a focus on psychological and emotional survival. This shift from purely external survival to a layered internal journey signals a modern evolution in storytelling, where the wilderness becomes not just a setting, but a metaphor for personal transformation and existential questioning. Looking at the film's contribution to an overarching narrative, if we think broadly beyond formal franchises, it speaks to a larger cultural dialogue about humanity's relationship with nature, resilience, and redemption. In many ways, Eden can be seen as part of a thematic franchise of films that probe the consequences of isolation, the search for identity amidst chaos, and the fragile balance between mankind and the environment. This places it alongside notable modern survival and environmental dramas that encourage audiences to reflect not just on the characters' physical journeys, but on bigger questions about humanity's impact on the natural world and what survival means in an era of climate uncertainty and ecological challenges. Although Eden isn't a historical film in the conventional sense, it carries an immersive quality that evokes the spirit of historical survival stories. The film's attention to detail in portraying the characters' interactions with the environment, their reliance on natural resources, the way they navigate and adapt to the wild, echoes real-life accounts of explorers, pioneers, and indigenous peoples who have lived at the mercy of nature throughout history. This grounding in reality, even in the absence of a specific historical timeline, lends the film a timelessness that feels authentic and resonant. It's as if the story is both contemporary and ancient, tapping into universal human experiences that transcend any particular era. The production design and direction further this sense of historical immersion. From the costumes and tools the characters use to the depiction of shelters and survival techniques, there's a convincing authenticity that makes the audience feel transported to a place where modern conveniences fall away, and survival depends on knowledge, instinct, and grit. This attention to detail reflects thorough research and respect for the realities of wilderness living, bridging the gap between fiction and the lived experiences of those who have truly faced such conditions. In comparing Eden to other films in the survival genre, or those touching on similar themes, it is evident that the movie doesn't merely repeat familiar formulas. Instead, it offers fresh insights and a unique voice. It balances the raw physicality and suspense expected from survival stories with a poetic, sometimes meditative tone that invites viewers to engage intellectually and emotionally. This fusion of action and reflection broadens the appeal and elevates Eden beyond the conventional adventure narrative. It challenges audiences to think about not only how people survive, but why, and what survival means for their identity and humanity. For viewers who are fans of survival films, Eden provides a fresh take that respects the genre's roots while pushing its boundaries. It complements rather than competes with classics, contributing new ideas about human endurance and the natural world that enrich the genre's tapestry. In this sense, the film acts like a thoughtful chapter in a long-running conversation, one that explores the evolving relationship between people, the environment, and the stories we tell about struggle and survival. Thus, even though Eden is not part of a formal franchise or a direct historical retelling, it thrives within a rich cinematic and cultural context. It offers a compelling blend of genre homage, thematic innovation, and immersive realism that invites audiences to not only enjoy an exciting story, but also to connect with deeper narratives about humanity's past, present, and future relationship with the wild. This layered approach ensures the film feels both timely and timeless, grounded in the enduring human experience of survival against all odds. When diving deeper into the budget and box office story of Eden, 2024, it becomes clear that this film is a great example of how thoughtful allocation of resources can lead to a richly crafted experience, even without a blockbuster-sized budget. Unlike massive Hollywood productions that often spend hundreds of millions on special effects, star salaries, and global marketing blitzes, Eden operates with a more restrained financial plan. However, this limitation actually becomes a strength in many ways, pushing the filmmakers to be more inventive, resourceful, and focused on the essentials that truly bring the story to life. The budget for Eden was enough to cover location shoots in stunning, natural environments that add tremendous production value, without the need for expensive set construction or CGI landscapes. This choice lends the film an organic feel, where the wilderness isn't just a backdrop, but almost a character itself. Practical effects and carefully designed props substitute for costly digital enhancements, and the casting prioritizes actors who bring authenticity and depth rather than big-name star power demanding huge paychecks. These budget decisions contribute to a film that feels intimate and real, where every frame is thoughtfully composed and every scene serves the story. From a technical standpoint, the film benefits enormously from this efficient budgeting. Cinematography shines through natural lighting and well-choreographed camera work, making viewers feel immersed in the environment alongside the characters. Sound design, costume, and makeup departments also work within budget constraints, but deliver high-quality results that enhance the atmosphere and believability. This approach is a reminder that impressive production quality doesn't always require massive spending. It often depends more on creative vision and careful planning. Turning to the box office performance, Eden had a trajectory typical for many well-crafted, mid-budget films that don't carry franchise recognition or a blockbuster appeal. It wasn't an instant global smash hit or a record breaker, but it carved out a respectable niche. The film's theatrical release was targeted and selective, focusing on markets where audiences have shown a taste for survival dramas and independent features. This meant fewer screens, but higher engagement where it mattered most. Marketing for Eden leaned heavily on quality over quantity. Instead of flooding media with broad advertising campaigns, the promotional effort was concentrated on reaching film festival audiences, critics, and online communities passionate about indie cinema and thoughtful storytelling. This grassroots marketing generated buzz that translated into steady ticket sales and strong digital rentals and streaming numbers later on. Audience enthusiasm, especially positive word of mouth, played a crucial role in the film's financial success in its specific segment. The film's earnings reflect this specialized appeal. While it didn't compete head-to-head with big franchise blockbusters in raw box office totals, it performed admirably within its category and budget range. Moreover, the film's performance on digital and satellite platforms helped bolster its overall revenue, showing how modern distribution strategies can complement theatrical runs and extend a movie's financial lifespan. The decision to focus on these alternative release windows also catered well to audiences who prefer watching films in a more personal setting, further increasing engagement. Audience reception had a direct impact on Eden's box office story. Many viewers appreciated the film's emotional depth, nuanced characters, and authentic depiction of survival, which encouraged positive reviews and repeat viewings. However, the film's more contemplative tone and lack of explosive action sequences meant it wasn't necessarily aimed at casual viewers looking for fast-paced entertainment. This inevitably limited its mass-market appeal, but reinforced its strength with cinephiles and genre enthusiasts who value substance and atmosphere. Looking at the marketing strategy in more detail, the team behind Eden made smart, deliberate choices to highlight the film's unique selling points: its scenic beauty, psychological complexity, and strong performances, rather than trying to mimic the flashy, effects-driven campaigns of bigger-budget films. By targeting their messaging toward niche audiences and critics, they fostered a sense of anticipation and exclusivity that helped the movie stand out in a crowded marketplace. However, this also meant the film stayed somewhat under the radar for mainstream audiences who might gravitate more toward familiar blockbusters or franchise names. In sum, Eden presents a fascinating case study in how a carefully managed budget and thoughtful marketing can produce a film that, while not a blockbuster, achieves a meaningful impact and financial success within its niche. It shows the value of focusing on storytelling, atmosphere, and character development when working with limited resources. The box office journey of Eden underscores the challenges and rewards of making a mid-budget film that prioritizes quality over spectacle and carving out a place in today's diverse and competitive cinematic landscape. This dynamic between budget, production quality, marketing efforts, and audience reception reveals the complexities behind the scenes and highlights how every decision plays a role in shaping the film's ultimate financial and artistic footprint. If you're ready to dive into the world of Eden, 2024, experiencing its tense survival story and stunning visuals, you have several options that cater to different viewing styles. This film, helmed by Ron Howard and starring Jude Law, Ana de Armas, and Vanessa Kirby, is accessible across multiple digital platforms, making it easy for audiences worldwide to enjoy in the way that suits them best. First up, for viewers who love the convenience of streaming without the commitment of buying or renting, Eden is available for free on ad-supported streaming services like the Roku channel and Plex. This is a great way to watch if you don't mind brief commercial breaks and want an easy, no-cost option. These platforms have been gaining popularity because they offer a wide range of movies without the usual subscription fees, making them perfect for casual viewers or those looking to explore new films without extra expense. If you're someone who prefers owning your movies or wants to watch Eden multiple times without worrying about ads, you can purchase the film digitally on popular platforms such as Amazon Video, Apple TV, and Microsoft Store. Buying it this way means you can download the movie and watch it anytime, anywhere. Whether you're offline on a plane or simply want to build a digital collection of films you love. This also ensures you have access without time limits, so you can revisit the gripping narrative and breathtaking cinematography whenever you wish. Alternatively, if you're not quite ready to buy but want a one-time viewing, Eden is available for digital rental. Renting on platforms like Amazon Video, Apple TV, Microsoft Store, and Fandango at home allows you to stream the film for a limited period, usually 24 to 48 hours. This option strikes a nice balance between affordability and convenience, especially if you want to see the film but aren't sure if you'll watch it again. For audiences in regions like Pakistan, where access to some digital platforms might be restricted, using a reliable VPN service can help. A VPN allows you to connect to servers in countries where Eden is officially available, enabling you to stream or rent the movie without regional limitations. This is especially useful for cinephiles eager to keep up with international releases. Now, when it comes to how you watch Eden for the fullest impact, the setting truly matters. The film's strength lies in its atmospheric tension, detailed sound design, and breathtaking natural environments. So catching it on a big screen with quality audio enhances the experience dramatically. Whether that's a home theater setup, a living room with a good sound system, or even catching a special screening at a local cinema if available, these options bring the film's immersive qualities to life. The soundscape of rustling leaves, crackling fires, and whispered conversations gains depth, while the visual storytelling unfolds with greater intensity on a large, high-definition screen. On the other hand, watching on a laptop or tablet works fine too, especially if you're on the go, but pairing the device with good headphones can help maintain the film's immersive atmosphere. Brightness and resolution settings matter as well. Tweaking these can ensure the rich visuals don't lose their texture and color vibrancy, which are vital to fully appreciating Eden's wild and emotional landscape. In summary, Eden is accessible through a variety of digital avenues designed to fit different preferences and viewing habits. Whether you choose to stream it for free with ads, rent it for a night of intense drama, or purchase it to enjoy repeatedly, the film's powerful story and immersive production will find their way to you. Just remember that to truly soak in the haunting beauty and suspense, watching it with good sound and a crisp display makes all the difference. So settle in, find your perfect setup, and prepare to be pulled into a survival story that lingers long after the credits roll.